Howdy,
Hi.
Shmuel,
Sure.
happy Omer.
Likewise. Happy Erev Rosh Chodesh.
That too.
Uh,
You're already, but that's not, doesn't matter.
oh, it's already Rosh Chodesh now?
It's well after dark.
Right. Good point. Okay. Um, okay. I have here Perek Daled on the screen. Hold on. Okay. And that in the book is,
Got us on page Kufayin Daled.
sounds right. May Rebbe, right. Perek Daled in the book. Okay. And if you wrote me the Rebbe, so I'm not sure why the book didn't start a new Perek here, but Yom the Rebbe, Nachis Rav the Bavel. Shnas Tavkuf Lamed, Leminyan Yavan, the Regilna Bay. So Tavkuf Lamed means nothing to us because it's a Minyan Shtaros. It says, the bound here, it says Minyan Shtaros, Hischem, Shnas Gimelaf in Tamatli Yitzira, Shnas 311, Livnei Asfira Shal Umos, when Alexander conquered Eretz Yisrael. Fiza Shnas Tavkuf Lamed, Shtaros, Shnas Gimelaf in Tat Keachli Yitzira, Shnas 218, L'Sfira Umos. So in the year 218. Okay, and numbers make sense to us. Nachis Rav Bavel. So generally speaking, the period of the Mishnah is supposed to end more or less around the year 200, and and Rav comes down to Bavel around that time, 218 according to there. Rabbi Shila Reish the Rabbana, and here in Bavel at the time, Rabbi Shila was the head of the rabbis. Bava Mika Reish Sidra Bavel Reish the Rabbanan. He was called the head of the Sidra, which is the Beis Medrash, and Bavel, the head of the rabbis. The Rav Ikla Asi Rabbi Shila, come Ale Bamora. It says Rav came to the venue of Rabbi Shila, and he was he became a Zamora, meaning he darshan, he amplified Rabbi Shila's drasha, and there's a long, long note on page Kufay above, excuse me, which we should see about Sidra. Sidra. Fi Rava Levi, Sidra and a yeshiva, obeyed Sefer. Lokim is Sifta. It's a yeshiva or house of learning, a house of book, which is not like a Masifta. Torah says Sidra, Hisaraka, Fotzas Torah, Erche Torah. It was the purpose of the Sidra was the dissemination of Torah and the values of the Torah. Lo yu bashurim samchusha rosh yeshiva. There's no shurim and no authority of Rosh Yeshiva. I'm not sure how he knows any of this. Mr. Ber Shabbat Cholot seems at the beginning Ikar Sidra Lidrosh b'Shabbos of Parsha Shavua is primarily took place on Shabbos to Darshan the Parsha, which is why we call the Sidra, I guess. Um, um, Chachas, he says, Pashe Limos Achol, V'kol Gam Nos Achim, expanded the weekdays, include other topics. Tzachini, nevertheless, Amsifta, some Amsifta was more than this. Asif Shkol Tamim Am Flogim, so that they have all the advanced students. Also, Sam Chusli B'sog Halachos, he had the authority to pass in Shilas. V'chak Shlita Barichas and Talmud, Amitzbatachas, then governance over the editing of the developing Talmud. Levar Arbotzes Torah Talmidim, besides for disseminating Torah for students, Yosham Gam Sheva Dore, there were 7 rows. L'chol Roshei Gdolia Chachmei Ador, for all the heads of the sages of the generation. Shakum Nikbetzu Vosham Liting Vuim, who gathered there at regular intervals, evidently for some purpose of legislation or governance. Um, Sanhedrin. It's correlation between the word Sifta and the word Sanhedrin in a prior parak. Avarashim as Sifta of Sanhedrin loy bahon. V'kulam local chelik yachad baruch Vegas. They all took part in determining how to resolve issues of contention. Shama ya gama yamakon kavul chol tzarich yitziv shah amechlaw. So it's evidently a place for taking place of the communal needs of the nation. Malkan Yomar Reb Shurgon, Vadifta Rebbe Reish Galusav and Higin below Rishim Sivosta. Until the Rebbe was passed away, they were Reish Galusav, not Reish Mesifta. Sheniknu Mesifta, so Rashim Sitas Gaman Higat Tzibor. Okay, I'm not sure I buy that either. I don't think that Russia Gula was supplanted, but evidently the Rosh Mesifta had some role in the governance. Okay, so the at that point in any event, he became a Maturgaman for it says here Amoroi, and you see in the translation it says here the Targum Rabbi Zamin Malcolm Shem Rabbi Shila Kim Maturgaman. The so the, you know in the it says in the um uh uh in the both it says it both in the screen and in the text. The text is slightly briefer. It says, so at that point, and since Rab was a great Talmid Chacham, was going to serve as a Maturgamon, so therefore it must be that Rabbi Shila was the actually titular head of the Chachamim at the time. So despite Rav's greatness, he served as the broadcaster amplifier for Rabbi Shila. Kanach nafshe Rabbi Shila. However, Rabbi Shila passed away, and he no longer stood at the head. There was Rav and Shmuel. But Rav and Shmuel kamei. And Rav conducted himself in deference to Shmuel. The Loitz Tabei, the Rav Lemeve Resha, and Rav did not want to take upon himself to be the head or lay over him. Let's say Shmuel come in and have Shmuel be below him, in front of him, in a subordinate stature. But Shmuel Loitz Tabei Lemeve Resha lay the Rav. But Shmuel didn't want to be a superior stature to Rav. So if the Rav coming, and put Rav in front of him. They have a Rav Kashish Shmuel too, because Rav was significantly older than Shmuel. I did not know that. On page go find Zion. He says, is anything here? No. It says, but in page go find Zion. He says that Razakim Shmuel Ava Bishlo Yadu B'dik Masai no Shmuel. We don't know when Shmuel was precisely when Shmuel was born. Nachdim Shkasher Bal Rav Bavel Ikras Sof Yamav. When Rav came to Bavel towards the end of his life. Adnai Aviv Shmuel Chadam Manhigim. So the father of Shmuel, Avu the Shmuel, was still one of the leaders Sham in Bavel. Take a look at footnote Chaf Al. In footnote Chaf, he says, "Who no lad Lifnei 39:15. Beer Bavel Shnas 39:80." So he said before that 39:80 was. We said 39:80. We said Tat Ka'ach, which is 39:78. It said 39:78 in the print in the screen text. But anyway, he was born. So it's 2 year. Let's say it's 2 year 220, just to round it off. And he was born prior to what year? Prior to
Well, it's a difference of like 65 years.
65 years. Okay, so he was. Okay, so it's like say he was at least 65 years old when he came to Bavel. I don't know if Rob was that old. He came to Bavel. Okay.
What was the reason Rav left there to go to Babel?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't remember why Rob left Bavel.
Or why Shmuel even also? I mean, he was originally in
Well, Shmuel was
Eretz
from Shmuel. I think they're both from Bavel. Question why Rob left at such an advanced age, but he was from Bavel.
Oh, so they were both originally from Babel. They went to Eretz Yisrael while Rabbi was still alive, and then afterwards headed back to Babel.
Yes.
Interesting.
Google it. See if we find anything. No, it doesn't give us all sorts of other things when we Google. Why did Rob leave Eretz Israel to Babel? Nope, doesn't come up right away. Try in Hebrew. Azab. Promise Rob could be anybody. Hmm, it doesn't say it. It says,
Okay.
just says, here it says in the Wikipedia, went down to Tatkaat 219. And it doesn't say why. But I think it was, uh, he was born in Bavel, as I said. I think the situation with Bavel was very dire. And Rob went there because he needed to fix things which are going on in Bavel. That, as far as I recall, Rob went down though when Yehuda Nasi was still alive. When did Yehuda Nasi die? I mean, Yehuda Nasi was died at a very advanced age, but when he died,
Well, your Shira goes very explicit that Rob left after Rebbe died.
yeah, he died in 217. But yeah, it mustn't Rav to die because he had the Gemara in Sanhedrin, the famous Gemara in Sanhedrin.
Yeah.
Uh, the Kavanachis Rav Bavel, Armalei Rabbi Shila Rabbi, Ben Achos Yori Bavel, Yori Yodin Yodin. Right? So Rabbi Chia was still alive, and he goes to the Rebbe and says to Rebbe, Rav is going down to Bavel. Can Yori Yodin Yodin Yad B'chros Yatir? And of course, Rebbe famously says Yori Yodin Yodin Yes Yatir B'chros Al Yatir. Can't be mad because he's too big an expert, and people make mistakes extrapolating from his expertise. But so he was Rabbi Yehuda Nasi knew of Rav's plan. So
Okay.
even if Rabbi Yehuda Nasi died, he died shortly before Rav left.
Okay.
So it was, but I think at that time, also I would guess also this sheer conjecture and might be totally off base, but the leadership after Rav was, especially was already 65 years old at the time, right? So then Rav could have been a candidate for leading the yeshiva after Rebbe's Ptira. But
Okay.
he never got a real smicha from Rebbe. He's 65 years old. He never got a real smicha, right? So obviously he can't be the leader, right? So his stature was such that he could have been a leader, but and then you have all these younger guys, so to speak, Rabbi Yechanan and all the other one, whoever else is there, Rabbi Afasu who took over after Rebbe, whoever else took over, I remember the names. So he must have felt it's time for me to move on.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it's kind of like so if you have somebody who's a candidate to be the Rosh Hashiva in Panovich or Merkaz Arav for that matter, doesn't matter where, and turns out he ain't going to get it because of whatever reason. What's he going to do, right? He doesn't
Right.
want to stay there as competition.
Right.
Goes back to his roots. Okay,
Okay.
so, but I think that the we find that Rav when he went there made all sorts of takonas like Basar Sheni Salamin Ayin. It's one of the first takonas Rav made in Bavel. So I think there's this idea that it was not just that he went there because of my conjecture, but there was a need for him to go down to fix things in Bavel.
Okay.
Okay, so 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 Rav is older. So Rav Kosh Mishmul Tuva. Okay, I
Ah.
mean, like it says, Rav Shmuel Rabasi Ikla Be Shavu Ben. They came to Shavu Ben. The understanding is some say it's Bris Milah and some say it's a It's the see, he says here. He says here, brings down on the test screen. So speaking of Ben, Mispin Echzachar Shivas Yomin Kach Bishvash Utem Mekav Limikre Shmoina Saben. There'll be Shmir Echzulas Mila. Agavas Sudas Bris Yitzchak Shosin Ben Berav Mila V'Yom Hashvil Lodas Ben. We don't call that. That's not what we call the night. We call it Vachnacht. I don't know what you call it in Hebrew. The night before bris, but the weeknight, the night of a week. But I guess maybe the Sfardim call Sudas Bris Yitzchak or whatever they call it. So. And we don't make a suda. We just have people come and say Shema. But some say it's Yeshua ben. But according to one version, also it's a it's a it was the Shalom Zocher. I think it's according to
Okay.
Yeshua ben. So like we make the Shalom Zocher on the Yeshua of the child. Anyway, Rav lo ayah kam Shmuel. Rav now I'm gonna go. Now I'm gonna go before Shmuel. Shmuel kam the Rabasi. Shmuel want to go in front of Rabasi. Basi lo kam the Rav. Rabasi want to go in front of Rav. So they had a round robin there. So it says here that Rav uh, Rav lo ayah amdu shloshim es pesach mechutz. Rav Rabasi. Sure, Rav lo ayah kam Shmuel. The kibo Rav atzmol in hog kavod. B'Shmuel b'agav Shmuel tzar men arbei. Rav is conduct himself with cover to Shmuel. Shmuel ayah kame the Rabasi. Sure, Rabasi got him because Rabasi was, I guess, older than him. Rabasi ayah kame the Rav. The Rabasi tamid the Rav ava. So they were stuck. Ariman natrach. So he said, who should wait to last? So nitrach Shmuel. So Shmuel should wait. He's going last. Nitrach Rav. Why didn't go Rav going last? Shmuel the adbe Rav mekamei shum the hu ma'aser the latie. So Shmuel was allowed Rav to go in because of the story where he cursed him, which is a very strange story. You familiar with that story? Uh,
Uh, um, Shmuel was too embarrassed to give him shalom, so Rav cursed him or something.
the
It's in Yerushalmi, isn't it?
No, it's brought down here in the bottom. Shmuel had Rabbi Rav Kamei Kibel Abin Hogwa Kavod Lo Mishun Shmuel God the Meta B'Torah. It's not because Shmuel is greater in Torah than Rav. Chayav Rav and Hogwa Kavod Rav had to conduct himself to cover them. Shum the Meister Latim Shum was so Meister Rav Shmuel Ta'us. He cursed him by mistake. This kind of colossal Shmuel. Mitzvah Rav, and Rav was felt pain because of his curse. Inverted curse. Males keep it Rav. Someone help cover Yatir B'Shmuel. Is in Shabbos Kuf Chesem. Rahal to B'Shosha Bar Rav Meretz So Bavel. Rav Chash Lameyav. Rav had a stomach ailment. Ichnisa Shmuel Beso. Shmuel brought him to his house. Echol Lechem Sorim V'Dogin Ketanim to go him B'Shemen. He gave him barley bread and small fish fried in oil, kirbeyan, uvekemach, which are the oil from their intestines, and with flour. These foods are very uh, loosen one's stool very much. And he didn't show him the bathroom. Fisha Rofe Shmuel Yodei Hashemisha Chashmeov, Mishashel Kachir for also. He knew that somebody who has this type of ailment Rav had. Mishal, I guess it was kind of diarrhea. This way heal him. That you should go all at once and get rid of your diarrhea. Rav Savar Shmuel is covering the Tzaro. Rav held that Shmuel had in mind to cause him anguish. Shmuel Kilolo, Shloyo Banim. Every person not to have sons. Shmuel Banim Kim Banos. Usofi being Rav Shmuel is coming for also. He wanted to heal him. Star Rav Maodos Kilo. The Kiba Atzmo no covered Yatzib Shmuel. Okay, it's a very strange story. So in any event, so the bottom line is that Shmuel was really subordinate to Rav. Rav is in Mekabah and something Mekabah Shmuel, nevertheless. So in this circumstance, the this circumstance, He said,
Those
"Okay,
sons make it.
let's revert to the actual pecking order." And Rav's
Right.
going first. Okay, what are you gonna say?
Right. What you said.
Okay. Umishuma Rishavke Rav and Shmuel ben Nardo do Duchte Mokum Tera. That's a Rav left Shmuel's Nardo, which is Shmuel's place, which is the Mokum Tera. Yisvag Duchte Lava Batera. And he went to a place where there was no Tera. Yisura, the Masa Mechasya. Place called Surah, which is also called Masa Mechasya. I mean, so the fishy awesome. The Jews were very, very prevalent there. Lots of Jews. For this bad love, I didn't even know it's a matter. From Rav Isai Ki Hechi, I should live here. Kechet Levi Torah by Duchta. Should be turned this place. Kehu Meisim Farsh Berekol Basar. Rav Bika Matzah V'Gadarba. Rav found a place where there was an open valley where there's no walls of Torah, and made Gadarba gather. They made it together. Tatlapush. Agmina Varina Isser Kachle. And also when he came to Tatlapush, he taught them and passed of them the Isser of Chal, how to deal with a Chal. So I don't think nothing brings down the sister. I think that in Surah he did the Isser of Abasa Shenisar Me'ayin.
Mhm.
And anyway, Tatlapush, the printed text he says is a suburb of Surah. Okay.
Okay.
B'ikei Reis Sidra. He was called the Reis Sidra. He got that position, I guess, since Rabbi Shila the position was vacant. He says here on the bottom. Um, Rav Nikar Reis Sidra Klomar Rosh Hashiva Avgav the Shmuel Nami Rosh Hashiva Ben Adar Lo Kol Rosh Sidra. It's Rav. If you should go to B'Torah, you have a Kashish Mishmuel. So they both call Rosh Hashiva, but the Reis Sidra, head honcho, was Rav. Okay, so
Okay.
he did take over Rav Shila's place in the end.
Okay.
Kamalei Rabbi Yochanan, he said, "Man Reish Sidra Bavel, who's the Reish Sidra? Amalei Rabba Richa, which is Rav's real name, the tall Abba the tall, because he's very tall. But Kain Becham and the dream was fulfilled. The Chazay Rabbi Chanina, the Chanina saw about him. We'll see a minute. The Zakva B'Diklua. They hung him up on a palm tree. Kechlim first Perkim Kippurim. So it says, Rosh Hashiva Haya, Rabbi Chanina B'Chalom Shemidos Rav Ala Dekel. They put him up in a palm tree. V'sim Shir Rosh Hashiva Tzadi Katomar Yifrach. Chasher Chanina came to Shemayim Rotzim Shir Rav Rosh Hashiva Al Koracham. Oh, here it is. My conjecture.
Mhm.
Okay, I guess it's the Gemara. Okay, shows my how good my memory is. Chasher came to Shemayim Rotzim Shir Rav Rosh Hashiva Al Koracham. Mimisim as Chanina, Kadesh she'd post Rav will come out. So Chanina saw this dream that they're going to put Rav as Rosh Hashiva, and he said, "Okay, that means they're going to die." There it is. Okay, so I guess the story is brought down in the Gemara, and I should have remembered the story, and I apologize. Okay, right?
Okay.
The Kanye Rav Laginsa the Bay Rav Beturta. Rav acquired the Ginsa the Bay Rav, the garden of the base Medrash in Tsurta. Is that the name of the place? No. Tsurta says is by making a sculpture. He made a sculpture of a animal in its wall. This he acquired it, but saw a base Medrash Talmidim. So I guess it was at that time it was an open space, a gina, and he made a base Medrash there. The Gershom makes me no Yarshim. He was the Ger died, had no Yarshim. Called Kainim Maxim because of Kana. Had Tzor Tzur B'Nichse Ager. If you make a sculpture in the property of Ger Kana, Pirshem Mashbam Tzor Tzur Tzur Schai of Nichse Ager because they base. Amnon, begidushin daflam, that's all dear mas against the Beira Pirshat Shes and Tzorch, the Tzorch Tamim Lechol Yerek Shaba. That it was not a place where he said it was a base matter, it was a place where they used as a vegetable patch. It was not, according to Shulchan, it was not for the vegetables. But Dave knows Allah base medrash, right? To build a base medrash, Kabishon Talmidim Harbel or Beats Torah. To build a base medrash there and be Marbitz Torah there. Okay. V'hava now there were Bavel Shnei Batei Dinim Gedolim, Chad Merador, the Hava Kfar, which already existed, the Chad Besura, and one in Surah, the Kaveh which Rav put into place, and via the Amar Shmuel Lokasim Prusbul Elba Beidin Surah Beidin and Narador. You need to have they has to take place in one of those Batei Medrash because those are the Batei Din because those are the main Batei Din in Bavel. Do you want to go on or do you want to stop here?
Oh,
What?
uh, do one more.
Five of the Rav and Shmuel Tati Mesifto. Yeah, two the different Batei Medrash. Maybe get them, maybe get Bavel, Rav Marareka, so get the Shmuel Marka Chutzarts. You don't say Rav say don't say funny nechta. Shmuel Mar, you do say funny nechta. But she the Rav Sar came to Mesifta. Since they're two Batei Medrash, Mishkach Shchiche people are constantly traveling back and forth. Shmuel Savar Mesifta L'Girsayu 3. They know they're too involved in the learning. They don't travel that much. So therefore, there aren't Eidim, Mitsuyim, Lakaima. There aren't witnesses who are frequently traveling back and forth to sustain and validate kitten. So therefore, the Shliach who brings the get to say Fanei Necha, and sustain it on the spot. V'shachi Brav Shnas Taknach.
No, you skipped the last sentence.
Oh, Pirkei Avachaz Rav Shmuel Dari. Sometimes they used to get together. Okay, at regular intervals, perhaps it means that they used to get together to see each other. And V'shachi Rav Shnas Taknach. Rav died in the year Taknach. Does it say which year that is? 246 Leminyanam. How old is he then at that time? In his 90s, because he came to Bavel.
He'd been almost 90. If he was 65 and 218.
Yeah.
So he was pushing 90s. Or,
Yeah.
wow.
It was high 90s, no? Not just pushing 90s.
We're past it.
Yeah. So the and then Shmuel Nag Shmuel Basrei L'Chudei Zayin Shina V'Hava Chadim Sifta. So evidently his yeshiva folded at that time, and there was one yeshiva then at that point, only the yeshiva of yeah, the parak doesn't go on much longer in the printed text, so maybe we should just get the end of the parak in the printed text.
Let's finish in the printed text. Go ahead.
Yeah. For Kama the Havakaim Rav, as long as Rav is alive, have a custody of Yochanan Kadam Rabbeinu Bavel. He writes him to our dear rabbi in Bavel. He gave him that deference. Sadi Nach Navshe, the Rav, after Rav died, have received Rabbi Yochanan Shmuel Kadam Chaverein in Bavel. He writes
Our peer.
yeah, there's a lot more in the printed text, but I don't think it's necessary. Amrakati loyada dana Rabbi. So Shmuel said, Rabbi Yochanan doesn't know that I'm his Rebbe. In other words, I'm spirit him too. Because of Shadaleh, he wrote and sent him Ibur the Shlitin how to make the leap years the next 60 years. Amar, so he said, big deal. Rabbi Yochanan said, Kada Chushim Amodiyada. Just knows American reckoning. Because of Shadaleh, Tont Laser Gamle Spikit Rafasa. He sent the 13 camel loads of Sveikas in Trefus, right? So Amai said, Shamamina Isti Rabba Bavel, right? Oh, I do have a Rebbe in Bavel. I'm going to go see him. I mean, McCullen, it says McCullen didn't actually go and see him. He planned to go and see him, but he didn't actually go. There was some reason why he didn't go. I don't remember why. Okay, so that's the end of the parak in the printed text. And
Yeah.
Shmuel's death. Let's just see what year it was relative. Rav was in Taknach. Well, it doesn't say. It was 7 years later. We said it already. It doesn't say how old he was. Okay. Anyway, so we'll stop here for today. Being a very
Okay,
good
sure.
base of the neck in the print text. Okay. Have a good week.
You too. Take care.